Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your October 2018 general readings. Excuse my hoarseness, I'm at the tail end of a cold, and while I feel pretty good, I've still got some residual hoarseness and frogginess, so sorry about that. But welcome to everyone, welcome to any newcomers. Thanks for continuing to share, like, follow, and subscribe, regardless of where I'm at. Most of you know I love to travel, and I do my postings and readings from all over the world. I'm still actually currently in Europe, but I'm recording these the very last days of September, and by the time they post October 1st and 2nd, or even a day or two before, I should be back home in California, so I look forward to seeing you all there for the mid-months. So thank you to all those of you who've been following me through all my travels over this last summer, and thank you to all of my regular clients and new clients as well for keeping me so continually busy regardless of where I'm at. If any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get more info and contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage, clicking on the little About button there, or you can click on the description bar of any of the videos I post. Please feel free to email me directly at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. And I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So turnaround time is pretty fast, and I can usually get back to you within the first 24 hours of your initial contact with more information. So I hope to hear from you, those of you who are interested. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. That link is also provided. So this reading is for the water sign of Scorpio for October 2018. If you know your rising and moon sign, watch those as well for additional clarification. All right, my little Scorpions, let's see what October 2018 has in store for you. We begin with the Four of Swords, followed by the Ten of Swords. We have the Seven of Pentacles, followed by the Five of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, followed by Justice, the Eight of Swords, followed by the Wheel of Fortune, and from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and focus and guidance for the month of October 2018 is the Six of Swords. Lots of swords energies. You have out of 9 cards, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are swords. Over half of them are swords. 2 major arcana cards and 2 pentacles. So swords is air energy. When I look at the balance of elemental energy, swords is air energy. You have an abundance of air energy. That's the element which governs the suit of swords. And that's energy, mental energy, cerebral, intellectual energy. It's the energy about truth, illumination, higher education, and learning. It's about what goes on up in our heads, our belief systems, ideas, perceptions, what we think about things, because that affects, of course, the way that we see the world and people in the world, and how we relate and communicate, because we're coming from what we think and believe. So it's psychological, cerebral energy. So there's a lot of that going on for you in the month of October 2018, Scorpio. A lot of thinking energy, a lot of contemplation energy, perhaps as well. And the rest of it appears to be a focus more on maybe money, work, finances, etc. Not to say that there isn't relationship energy for you in the month of October, or building, artistic energy. It's just the more of energy seems to be about thinking and dwelling and contemplating things regardless of what those things really are, and maybe more of a focus on work too as well. Your overall energy is the Six of Swords. It's a card of peace, healing, restoration. You have left the worst of something behind you, and you're moving into a better place in your life. The waters are definitely more peaceful, calm, and placid than the turbulent ones that are behind you. You're not quite to the other shore yet and on solid ground, but you're definitely in transition. You're moving towards that. So it's a healing time period. And there still might be some difficult days, or some good days, some bad days, because the healing process, particularly in the initial healing process, can have its ups and downs. But gradually, as you continue to move through the healing process, those bad times get easier to deal with, and fewer in frequency as you move on. So it's definitely a healing process, particularly in your mind and in your heart. So that's the overall energy. And it's understandable because it looks like you went through something difficult, It could be very recently, or it could still be a while ago, and the energies are still lingering. But you're healing from something, and it could have been maybe a betrayal of some kind. Maybe somebody hurt you quite badly, or it could have been that you hurt somebody else, and there was, just a lot of drama and pain and challenge around it. We end September and begin October with the Four of Swords and the Ten of Swords. So the Four of Swords is a card of rest, respite, restoration, taking time out to recover, to rest, to recharge, which always helps us get a different insight and perspective on something. Taking a step back can often clarify things that we can't see when we're right in the midst of it and we're feeling emotional and tired. The Four of Swords can often come up when someone's feeling tired, worn out, exhausted, maybe needing to take some time out and take better care of themselves. Disengage, at least temporarily, from whatever the conflict or challenge or whatever it has been in order to take a break. You can see that the swords pointing down at him represent whatever battle or challenge or something that he's been engaged in, which is, taken a lot of time and energy. His own sword. It could be an actual fight or a challenge or something he's been working at, or some conflict. And you can see his own sword is lying close by his hand should he need it. But for the time being, he is not engaged. The state implies a temporary setback because he's still dressed in the majority of his armor. He's only taken off what he needs to rest. But for the time being, he's not engaged. He's taking better care of himself because he's tired. He needs to take a break and perhaps get a different perspective. Rest, respite, restoration, healing, which we already know because you have that peace, restoration, healing energy that you're moving through, and you may be feeling kind of tired and worn out after dealing with something. Well, what clarifies the Four of Swords is the Ten of Swords, sometimes called the stabbed in the back card. It can often implies a sense of betrayal, unexpected, of course, because being stabbed in the back, of course, means you don't see it coming. However, in the tarot, tens represent completion or cycles coming to an end. So the positive aspect of the Ten of Swords and cards like the Ten of Swords is that the worst, again, is behind you. You're leaving it behind you, even if it's relatively fresh or something that you're still feeling, you're still healing, but you're still moving through this healing period. Whatever difficult or challenging thing happened to put this man face down on the ground, it's over. The worst is happened. It's not happening again. You can see there's a healing light shining through the swords. The animals are beginning to return to the scene. The sun is rising in the background, a new day is dawning, and it's time to get up, brush yourself off, and move on. So that's the energy we're kind of leaving September and moving through the beginning of October with. Rest, respite, restoration. Some of you, maybe you went through, it looks like you went through something probably fairly recently, but it could have been something even, a month or a few months or a handful of months ago, and you're still kind of moving through it, but it feels pretty recent. It could have been something recent, could be like a year ago or a year and a half ago. Some things which really impact us tremendously can show up as still present or fresh, even depending on how big the thing was that happened and how deeply it affected us, and in how many areas of our life it affected us. It can still show up even sometimes years later as still kind of working through that. I feel for most of you this was probably something recent, at least in the last year or two, maybe even more fresh than that for some of you. So definitely moving through a healing process, some ups and downs, but definitely still moving through that. The cautionary advice is to continue to move through it and try not to get stuck in it by holding on to bitterness, resentment, and anger, or dwelling too much in the pain and negativity of it, because the longer we stay in such emotions, the easier it is to stay in such emotions and not move on through the normal healing process. So be careful of that, Scorpio. My lovely, intense, deep feeling Scorpios who can get stuck in these kind of emotional spaces and energetic spaces. So be careful of that. So next we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Five of Swords. So next it looks like it's time to kind of contemplate where we're at, take a look at where you're at, maybe where you want to go. Do you need to make changes? What do you have currently around you in your life, in your relationships, in your social atmosphere, in job, work, career? This may resonate in different areas because it's a general reading, and for some of you it may be just in job, work, career, finances. It may be in some other kind of project area of your life. It may be just in relationships. Whatever it is that you've been through, it looks really challenging. You're in a healing process. You're still moving through that. But the Seven of Pentacles is about taking stock. It's harvest time, but she's pausing before she begins to harvest. She's looking at what her crop is. What have I grown? Does it match what I thought I'd get based on the energy I put into whatever, this relationship, this job, this project, etc.? Am I getting back what I thought I was going to get back based on what I put into it, the effort I put into it? Did I get back? Did I at least break even? Did I get back more? Did I get back less? What should I do based on this? Should I continue with what I'm doing? Should I make changes? Should I just keep going with where I'm at? Kind of taking a look and taking stock, particularly after what looks like this quite challenging thing that you've been dealing with and healing and moving through. Some of you, it may have been a situation, relationship, or some other thing that you put completely behind you and you're moving away from it in that respect. And some of you, it may be something that you had to deal with in a job, workplace, career, or relationship that you're still in, which can sometimes make the healing process a little more complicated and complex, but you're still in it and maybe trying to move through it and taking stock as to whether it's worth it or whether you're to continue, and how is it doing, because that's what the Seven of Pentacles means, and that's what the number 7 represents: assessment, reflection, motives, motivations. So what clarifies that is the Five of Swords, which is a card technically of victory. And I say technically because it does represent a victory after a battle or a challenge of some kind, but sometimes it's a victory that comes at a high cost, and the question is always, was it worth it or was it not worth it? Is it worth it or is it not worth continuing if it's something still ongoing? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it's no, because it's a hard-won victory. I mean, he's obviously finished. He's obviously victorious. He's gathered up all the other weapons and he's holding his own aloft. Woohoo! But it doesn't, it's still, I mean, the colors are kind of murky and bleak. He's tired, exhausted, which is a card that also represents the Four of Swords, taking a break from a battle because you're tired, worn out, exhausted. He's won here, but he's tired, worn out, exhausted. The colors are still kind of murky and bleak. He's bleeding. I don't know if you can see it. I can barely see it without my glasses because I'm getting old. But he's bleeding from a little cut on his forehead. This battle has obviously taken a lot out of him, and even though he's come out on top, it's cost him a lot. And sometimes it represents that being very ambitious at the cost of other people, or needing to be right or coming out right or on top, or having to have the last word maybe in personal relationships. It can represent winning or being right or coming out on top at the cost of personal relationships. So again, the question is something worth it? Was it worth it? Is it, if you're still in it, is it worth continuing? What are you fighting for? And is it really important enough? If it may come at the cost of personal relationships, again, sometimes the answer is yes and sometimes it's no. But it's taking stock of what you have. What you've had is something worth continuing based on what you've put into it or what you fought or struggled for. So that contemplation energy. And that's what the first half of the month pretty much looks like. You're in a healing process. Some of you may be still considering whether something is worth continuing to invest your energy in, whether it's in a job or a work or project or career path or a relationship of some kind. Is it worth continuing? Do you have the hope of being victorious? Is, if you stayed and fought, is what you're fighting for still worth it, or what you're working for is still worth it? So it's this kind of contemplative thinking about it kind of energy. So next we have Ace of Pentacles and Justice. Ace of Pentacles. Now here we have Earth energy. It's right next to the Seven of Pentacles. Pentacles is Earth energy. That's the element which governs the suit. And it's practical, concrete energy, and it usually manifests in that area of our life. Money, finance, property, resources, assets, job, etc. Or in other areas of our life, tangible results, the efforts we put into things, concrete, practical things that may affect our emotions or our relationships. Aces represent the number 1. So they always represent a new beginning, the start of something new, or the opportunity for a new path. So this is a practical new beginning. It may be a new beginning that makes a difference in your day-to-day practical life. Sometimes the Ace of Pentacles, often the Ace of Pentacles comes up for moving, relocating, starting a new job, or a combination of that, maybe moving or relocating to start a new job. Sometimes it represents getting an unexpected sum of money or practical resources that may enable you to have a tangible new beginning. Some of you may be transitioning from one job to another, one career path to another, one home to another. You might be moving or relocating. Could even be a job, or you may be doing it as a couple, or this might not even have anything to do with relationships for some of you. But the interesting thing is that the Ace of Pentacles is clarified by Justice, which is the reap what you sow card. This card represents that what you put into something is going to directly affect what the result, consequences, or outcome of something is. So be careful, operate with as much transparency, honesty, and honor and personal integrity as possible, because that will affect the outcome. It's a card about doing the right thing, because that's going to be reflected in the outcome. If you don't do the right thing, that's going to be reflected in the outcome. Like trying to hold to a sense of personal honor and integrity, doing the right thing, doing what is the best thing for everyone or everything involved in that to the best of your ability. Personal honor and integrity, because it represents that the outcome, how something turns out, will be fair and equitable, meaning that it will be based on what people actually do, say, set into motion, not what you wish or intend, but what you actually do. So for some of you, the combination of this Ace of Pentacles and Justice will represent that you are starting out on a new beginning, or you have the opportunity to have this tangible new beginning. You may be moving, relocating, starting a new job, starting something new that makes a difference in your practical day-to-day life, even in the relationship area of your life. Well, I'm not getting so much of that, but how it works out is going to be dependent on what you put into it. So because of that, be careful that you operate from this kind of honorable base or hardworking base as much as possible. Some of you, it may be that, especially those of you who went through some kind of betrayal or were wronged in some way, and that hasn't come to pass. This can also represent that it may come back to you. The fairness and equitability of it, which was not evident then, may be coming around to you around the middle or the last half of October 2018. Maybe not in the way that you wanted, like especially if somebody hurt you, it may not be that you get to see the other person suffer, or something like that, which is vindictive. That's not equitable anyway, even though it's understandable. But that there's always a balance in energy. Maybe something happened to you, or you were taken advantage of, or betrayed, or hurt, or exploited in some way, and it looks like for some of you, there's this Ace of Pentacles and Justice is that there's a great new opportunity or something coming your way. It might be unexpected. But it's in some way kind of a karmic balancing out of energies which were out of balance for you before. So there is that as well, and it could be in the form of finances, money, resources, or a new job, or a new home, or something better, something of that sort. It's a practical new beginning, but it represents a karmic equality or equitability in the energies working out for you. I mean, either way you look at it, whether it's a tangible new beginning, and they're saying how it turns out is going to be dependent on what you put into it. Everything being in the upright position implies that it holds a lot of potential. It looks like it's going to be really good, particularly if you take it in the spirit in which it was intended and move forward in an honorable on an honorable kind of way, and upholding personal integrity as well. Now, at or towards the end of the month, we have the Eight of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. The Eight of Swords, not a card I always like to see for people, but because it's somewhat illusionary energy. It's a card that represents feeling maybe trapped or held hostage, or like you don't have power or control in order to make the choices or changes or have the things you want in your life. You feel like you can't, like you're bound to this thing or bound to that thing, or whatever reason we give ourselves. But it's illusionary energy, meaning the source of whatever you feel is binding you might be quite valid. But the Eight of Swords represents a situation you can't get out of, but in reality it is. The only thing keeping you in there is your perspective that you're kind of trapped in there. And this is a perfect example of our heads being our own worst enemy, our mind being our own worst enemy. The only thing that's keeping this woman held hostage is just this perspective in her head that she's held hostage, when in reality she's not. The gaps between the swords are plenty wide enough for her to walk through. She's on her knees, which implies a sense of helplessness or victim or vulnerability, but nobody's forcing her down there or holding her there. She's chained up at the wrists, but she could free herself quite easily. They're not attached to anything or anyone. But she can't see this. But if she just twisted her wrist, she could take the blindfold off, stand up on her own 2 feet, take a look around, and see her situation for what it is. She can remove herself from it and walk away from whatever it is that she feels is trapping her. Not to say that it doesn't come at a cost. All of our decisions do, and life changes that we make, everything comes at a cost. But the Eight of Swords represents feeling trapped and helpless when in fact you're not. You just do it because you feel like you're trapped because of this reason or that reason, or the excuses we give ourselves. I can't leave this job or career path that I don't love, or that isn't paying enough, or whatever reason we don't like it, because I need it, because at least it's a steady paycheck, because if I leave I won't be able to find anything different, or I won't be able to find anything better, or I have to stay in this situation, I have to stay in this relationship because I'm old and there's nobody else out there and I won't find anybody and I don't want to be alone, etc., etc. This is a case of staying trapped and helpless when we don't need to because of whatever reasons we give ourselves. We can remove ourselves from this. Won't be easy, maybe. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it is, but it is possible. Now what clarifies it is the Wheel of Fortune in the upright, which implies a stroke of good luck, of good fortune in your favor, and reminds us that divine timing orchestration we have nothing to do with. I mean, we have no control over these energies. It's God's spirit, your angels and guides. There's no accounting for it. In the upright position, it implies a stroke of good luck, of good fortune as well. And it could be for some of you, Scorpio, that you may have the opportunity, maybe that you're in, something's happened to you recently or in the recent past. You're still working your way through it, maybe holding on to it a bit. You're trying to take stock of what is worth, what you have, and whether it's worth, making changes to your life or not, regardless of what area of your life this is resonating in. It looks like you may have an opportunity for a new beginning. Some of you may be afraid to take that opportunity or new beginning because fill in the blank, whatever reason we give ourselves, but it looks like it is karmic. I mean, it's divine timing and orchestration that it's come around. So I would take a really close look at any offers or opportunities you feel like you have to dismiss out of hand because you feel tied to or obligated or kind of held hostage by another situation, or you feel like you're being held back because of attachments to previous things going wrong, or that you feel you're not ready. Typically when new opportunities show up, not always, but it's often divine timing and orchestration. So, yeah. So overall, it looks like a nice time, maybe just a quiet month overall, peaceful, healing, maybe some up and down days. It definitely looks like the last half of the month there may be more of an opportunity or something coming in. With some of you it might be unexpected, and kind of a karmic equalizing or balancing out energy if you choose to take it. It feels like divine timing and orchestration, so don't be so quick to dismiss it out of hand by saying I can't because, or I can't have this new beginning, or I can't step out on my own, or I can't, whatever. Because of whatever excuse or whatever fill in the blank thing that we have. So just kind of be aware of that as you move through the month. Other than that, a pretty peaceful looking month. So Scorpio, that pretty much wraps up your October 2018 general reading. Again, if you would like a more personal reading, please feel free to email me directly at maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you and set something up as quickly as we can. I do a wide variety of readings, love and romance, of course, compatibility charting, reconciliation spreads, career, work, and finance, investment readings. I do channeled messages from past on loved ones as well, and 6 and 12-month overviews, which take a look at what's coming in your life over the next 6 or 12 months in all the main areas of your life, depending on how far ahead you want to look. And I also do gift readings, which, as we're coming into the holiday season, are always really popular. I always get a lot of requests and orders for those because people like to give personal readings as gifts for family and friends, so you may want to think about that too. You can find all my contact details and a little more information by clicking on the little About button you'll find on my YouTube channel's homepage, Or you can just click on the description bar of the videos that I post for that information too. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. That link is also provided. So Scorpio, I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the October 2018 mid-month general readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care. Bye-bye.